What's up, everyone? I am 7-Star Mike for Trade Talk Media, bringing you this week's flow review. And I've got a treat for you this week. We've got the triple OG Charlie hanging out with us this time around. Let's see what happened this week.
Sounds like a plan. All right, Mike. So, hanging with you today. I enjoy that always. You were going to throw out some symbols for us to look at.
Yeah, let's start with GSAT. GSAT. I've got the 319 350s that came in on Wednesday.
All right, so GSAT, let me take off puts. I don't watch puts, so y'all forgive me. We may or may not talk about that. So that came in on Wednesday.
That was Wednesday. That should be the 17th.
And I'm going to put my end date on the 18th. I actually bought this one too. This was the 319 350s. Is that right?
Yeah, this was $2.4 million of flow that came in that day.
I actually followed this. I went with a different strike and expiration. I went with the 250s, and I paid 70 cents. Now, one of the reasons I did that is for, to go at the money, especially up here, to go at the money for another, 25, 30 cents seemed like the right thing for me to do on that. So I am in this one. This is probably one of very few losers for myself this week. But yeah, go ahead and talk to us about this flow.
I actually went in and out. I scalped this one, so I took profits on it, but I'm out of it already. That's just, my style is more of the quicker trades. But this one, if you scroll down to the bottom, this particular flow started coming in at 30, then we hit 35, then it went all the way up to 40 and 45. So one of those things we're looking for is that contract price to just keep increasing as they hit it. So it went from 30 to, it went to 50 plus, and I forget where I got out on it, but it was a quicker scalp for me. And that contract price keeps increasing every time they hit it. They hit it a bunch of times, and it's one of those things where it just kind of lights up the screen. That's one of those things we're looking for. When the flow just, it boom, 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 right? It fills the screen up, the contract price is increasing. Now the dollar amounts on this one weren't spectacular. Normally I'm looking for that 300,000, 600,000, 400,000. This one was more of like those, I think almost every one of them was under 100 grand, but there was a lot of it. So it definitely caught my eye. And like I said, I took the exact same flow on this one and turned it into a scalp. So I am out of this one already, but it did turn some profits for me.
This one is, and I'm actually glad we're starting with one that was a loser for myself, just to show we don't cherry pick, because we don't. But this flow, it was that salt and pepper, just boom, 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 boom. Mike Tyson would call it. I did play this one. I am currently still in it. GSAT has got a habit of going up, consolidating, going up. So I don't think this one's the end of the world, and at 70 cents contracts, I'm not very heavy in it. I'm going to probably ride this one out just to see what happens. And I think they do have ER coming up actually Thursday, so I'll probably just hold through that, even though that's against my better judgment to hold against ERs. I'm going to ride this flow out, I think. What's the next one you got, buddy?
Next up is MAT. This was also on Wednesday. MAT, we got the 416.20s.
There they are. I'm going to unfilter that for a second, see if there's any more juice in that. All right. Yep. I bought this one as well. I am still holding this one, and I went with the 18s. I went with the, you know what? Let me confirm that. I did buy myself. This was close to 52-week highs. Let me log in my account real quick. You know what? Hold on. I've got it over here. Yeah, I bought the $18 ones. This one, again, I went with slightly in the money. 18s I could get for $2. So if these contracts were right and they did hit 20, I'm going to catch some juice on it. This doesn't have to go up as much. Trade kind of stayed flat for me. I think I might be down 10 cents a contract. Very, very minimal, but plenty of time on it. But I did buy Mattel. Go ahead and tell us what you did with it.
Yeah, I'm actually still in this one also. I think this one is at a slight loss, but I'm not too worried about this one. So this was another one where the dollar amounts weren't super huge on it, right? Where you don't see the 100,000, the 400,000, the 300,000, smaller dollar amounts, but they just kind of came into this one a little bit. Same thing on the contract price. You know, we're starting them at 80 cents. We see them go to 85, then 90. They go up to $1. So the contract price is increasing. So some of the trades I take from flow, it's not that 100% flawless, holy crap, we've got to be in this right now type of flow, but it still works out. Some of it doesn't work out. Like I said, this one, I think I'm at a slight loss for it, but there's still plenty of time on it. It's not too far out of the money right now, so I'm not worried about this one. I do take trades from flow that isn't flawless looking flow. This is one of those. I liked it. It's not necessarily going to make the hashtag 20 list, but I liked what I saw when it came in, and I position size such that it's not going to destroy me if it doesn't work out.
Right. And this is one that, you know, it came in white flow, which we probably didn't pay attention to, and then it turned purple, meaning OI was met. Then they were yellow in one trade. This one, at the end of the day, the one thing I am noticing is there's a lot of bid side in this that happened way later in the day. But I think when I checked OI, for the most part, that was still there, so I'm not concerned with it. But I am still in Mattel as well, which is you know, it did show us time. I can't say it showed a lot of size. We talk about STU, size, time, and urgency. But it does have plenty of time on it. What you got next, buddy?
Like I said, there's some trades that aren't perfect flow, but something catches my eye and I take it. And that was one of those that I was willing to take a chance on it. Smaller position size. So again, if it's not perfect flow and I'm going to take it anyway, I don't go in as big as I would for, say, hashtag 20 type of flow.
Right.
Next up, GSKY. This was on Wednesday also. Now, this one was from the unusual scanner, right?
Yeah, I didn't play this one. I did post about it on Twitter, like, what the hell? They were buying those 7.5s. Yeah. I did not play this one, but it was very, you know, it came through very quick.
Yeah, same on me. I actually skipped this one, but I like that it's on the unusual scanner, and I want to point those out a little bit more because I think there's a lot of people that don't use or don't ever like check in with that. The unusual scanner has some crazy trades on it, so it's one of those things you want to kind of get in the habit of just checking out periodically. But these contracts, if you look at the bottom, they started at 35, they went to 50, 65, 99, $1.40 at the top there. So I mean, these trades started at 35 and hit $1.40. That's just a monster trade. So again, the unusual scanner is just coming through.
Yeah. Yeah, that one, I love that scanner. I definitely love that scanner. Yeah, that's one, if you get in down here at 35, 40 cents, if this thing's hitting $1 and you're not $1.40, yeah, that happened on the same day. Yeah, those ones are $1.40. If you're not taking greens on that, then yeah.
Exactly. The scanner and the flow did its job. It alerted us to something, and then it comes down to trade management. You can't go from 30 or 40 cents to $1.40 and then lose money on it and complain that the flow didn't work. You know, the scanner alerted us to something that would not have been on my radar ever. So that unusual scanner, everyone should get in the habit of at least checking that out a few times throughout the day. Maybe have one off on the side set to just the unusual. But there's definitely some good stuff on that one. The next one is actually from the unusual also, FLNT. This one was Thursday.
I did play this one.
FLNT on Thursday was the unusual scanner. And this one I actually did take. This was one of the first ones from the unusual. So I'm guilty of not using that scanner as much as other people kind of make it a routine. I'm relatively new to watching it and using it. So this was one of the first that I've taken from it. And this one worked out. This one, I'm out of it already. This was another scalp. But I saw this one hit the unusual scanner, and it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I haven't traded that one too often. I'm going to take an unusual scanner trade. And this was the first one that came in that day. So I jumped into it, scalped it, made some nice profits on it. Still plenty of time on it. And actually, if you look at it, this is higher right now. So after hours, it hit 760 on Friday, and it was coming in when they first started trading. It was about $7 or 656, 679, 680.
Yeah.
So it's up even from there. So this one should do pretty well, even if you're still in it.
This one, I went with the 750s, and the reason I did, and I know people ask me why I changed the strike a lot. I'm like, all right, I'm paying $1.40. I want to say $1.48, $1.49. I don't remember for these. So about just a little bit, just about double what you're playing, you know, for the $10 ones. But the thing is, and we've seen this could go to $10 on March 19th, and those contracts that they paid would be worthless. It goes to $10 on March 19th. Mine's going to be worth at least $2.50. Now, these move faster. The ones right here move faster. They also would decay faster. But these, as far as a trade, moved fast, and that was a good trade. I actually took profits on this one that day too, because I was like, man, I made 50% in like, I don't know, a couple hours. I had to take it. It's just a scalper in me. I had to take it.
I think you and I are both learning to try and hold on to some of these a little bit longer.
Yeah, we're trying.
So I don't normally like too many open positions, and 2 weeks ago and last week I actually had a little bit more than comfortable. So on some of these, I was basically closing them out for, you know, pretty good gains, anywhere from 30 to 80% gains, but just kind of lowering the amount of risk that I had out there over the weekend and just in general. Because a lot of these, what I like about the flow lately is we've been seeing some longer term stuff. So I have a few of those positions that are out to June, July, September, and I didn't really want too many open positions. So the shorter term ones that had profits, I just started closing out a bunch of those and, you know, taking some money out of the market and putting some profits in pocket and just moving on. You know, just put the profits in your pocket and look for the next one. That's been my philosophy lately.
Can't blame you there. What's the next one you got there?
Next one is VIH, same day, same scanner. This was from the unusual. Now this one I did not take personally. The thing was, this one was, it came in right after FLNT, or I don't know about right after, but on the unusual scanner, it was the one after FLNT. So I don't remember if it was time frame right after or if an hour went by or whatnot. But I was in FLNT, and then I saw VIH, and I was kind of like, I already took one from the unusual scanner, so I'm not going to take another one from it right now. And VIH was the one that actually worked out a little bit better than FLNT. But again, the unusual scanner coming through. These were the 319.20s that were on the unusual scanner there.
Hold on, I messed something up.
This was VIH for 218.
Yeah.
And they were hitting the 319 $20 strike.
Screwed up my start date.
Yeah, start date should be 18th.
Here we go. I've seen these come in. I even posted about these on Twitter, but I was already in FLNT as well, and I didn't want two companies I didn't know much about that day. And these went up. It's the 319.20s. Yeah, these things went up. The same situation. They started, under $2 and went to $3.50. I didn't play it. You know,
there's one of them in there that hit $4.10. So they started at 175. They hit 410 on one of those transactions there. So they definitely went up. You know, again, it's that unusual scanner. And the thing about this one, if you look at the dollar amounts, again, we're not hitting. I mean, there's one of them in there for 300,000, but the other ones are small. You know, you have 37,000, some 90,000s. They're not those 300, 400, 600,000 trades, but it's the unusual scanner. So I think the rules are a little different for that one, where you don't necessarily need, you know, an $800,000 trade on there. If it's on the unusual scanner, it's worth paying some attention to, even if the dollar amounts aren't what we would typically look for. And this is just another example of the unusual scanner spitting out something that I would never have even looked at. And I mean, the trade doubled within the same day. So that scanner is just, it's doing its job. It's finding some really good stuff.
It is. That one was thick that day, for sure. What you got next?
ADI. This was a favorite of mine. ADI. So this one came in on the 18th also. These were the 917 160s. Now this one, I've got a few questions on this one as far as the flow, because the first question is, I see 466 and 433, but you're showing a $5 million trade. There's two things people are doing to this one. One, they have the sweep filter on because they hear that we don't like blocks, so they use the sweep only filter. And it's not that we don't like blocks, it's that we don't like solo blocks. In this case, if you have the sweep only filter on, you missed a $5 million trade. The other thing is they use the ask and above ask filter. Well, the $5 million trade filled between the bid and the ask. So it's not going to be on the ask or above ask filter. So if you have that set, again, you're telling the scanner, don't show me anything that doesn't fill on or above the ask. And that $5 million trade did not fill on or above the ask. So that block we do take into consideration. It's not that we don't like blocks. We don't like certain blocks. And this one was a combined, $6+ million of flow. So that's something that's 100% going to grab our attention.
This was a hashtag 20. I just pulled up Discord and I pulled up the top flow room because it has a picture of it. And this flow came in 1 minute and 2 seconds. So they went in, basically $6.3 million in under, in 1 minute and 2 seconds. Contracts going up, $14.26, $14.39, $14.50. We see that it's an automatic, not if we're going to buy it, it's an automatic how much do we buy. I actually sold this one the next morning at $18.20. So I got out a little too early. That's going to plague me. They still have plenty of time. I got out at $18.20 just because it was $300 and something contract, $360 contract, and I couldn't resist that hardly.
Yeah, and if you look at the chart right there, if you look at the flow first, look at the spot price. So they were buying these when the spot price was 157, and if you look at the chart after hours on Friday, it's currently sitting at 163. So you have a September contract, and even though it's all the way out to September, in just a few days of buying the contract, the underlying's already up $6, almost $7. So nice move on that. Now, the one thing I want to point out, again, if people are buying a September contract, do not expect a same-day move. I think people are spoiled. They buy a September contract, it didn't go up 120% in 3 minutes, and they're like, oh my God, this flow isn't working. September contracts have time. It might need the time to play out. This one, however, didn't. So when we see that, we love it, but don't expect a September contract to pay out in a day or two. That's not necessarily going to happen. They're buying time for a reason. If they thought this was going to pop in a day or two, they wouldn't buy the time for September, unless obviously they have a long-term view of it rising up. But you don't buy a September contract thinking you're going to get 120% gain the next day. When it happens, right, we'll gladly take it though.
And this one did get a bunch of price targets too. This was after ER flow, which is another thing we love. We love the flow that comes in post ER. This one came in the day after ER, maybe 2 days after ER. Price targets coming in on Thursday and Friday from 180 up to 200. So yeah, this has plenty of time.
Yeah, that's one of those trades you just take. The only way I would say you don't take it, it's a $1,400 contract. If your account is $2,000 or $2,500, maybe you don't take this trade. That's, even though it's a high probability trade, you're just taking on way too much risk to put 80% of your account on one single contract. Outside of that, if you can afford this contract, it's one of those trades that there's no question, no delay, no hesitation. You see that flow, boom, you're in. The only question is how many contracts am I going to buy? So again, proper trade management, if you have a $2,000 account, as much as I'm going to say this is high probability flow, a $2,000 account, I still wouldn't put a $1,400 contract in it. That's just proper trade management.
Couldn't agree more. What you got next?
Next up is IQ. IQ was
another
also
one.
on Thursday. We had the 226 $25 strikes.
Now, this is another one I did not take. This was the yeah.
So this one I did
short
take. This one, yeah, this is one of those ones that the dollar amounts, again, if you look at them, it's 10,000, 33,000, 18, or 11,000, 58. The dollar amounts aren't huge, but there's enough of it that it caught my eye. And these contracts at the very bottom went from 43 cents. They went up to 92, 94, 97. So these contracts did some good stuff for us. Again, this was a quicker scalp. It's like you said, you don't like those short-term contracts necessarily. I will look at those, and if the flow comes in the right way, I'll do those as an intended like scalp. Like I might buy that and know, okay, if I see something in 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to be out of this one. But those contracts for a short-term contract, those did pretty well for me.
I pulled this up on Twitter. This is one that I had wanted to take, and we got a stock alert based off of options. And I know that sounds crazy, but some of our stock alerts are based off of options flow. And this is one I posted that day, and you can see pretty spot in the chart too. You had your open, little consolidation, maybe double bottomish right there, kind of double topish, but higher lows, right in this area, and then boom, this thing shot up. It was just gone the rest of the day. So our alert came in right here before it made this move, and then the consolidated and went on up. So it's one I missed. I'm not perfect, and I'm not a real good short-term flow person. Mike's quick with that scalp, and nice job on that one, Mike. I wish I would have played it.
Some of those do good. You do have to watch out for those short-term ones, but again, there's certain flow that even if it's short-term, if it comes in the right way, I'm just willing to take the chance on it. It's not those guaranteed or close to guaranteed profits, but if it comes in a certain way, again, I'm going to position size such that it's a little bit riskier because it's not a hashtag 20, but I'm still willing to take on the risk, so I'm going to do a smaller position size. And those are working out. Again, not all of them will, but when they do, you can make some good money on those quick scalps as well. Next up is SAVE, S-A-V-E. We have the 618 $35 strike. Now this one, when we talk about dollar amounts, this one's more of what I'm looking for as far as flow. So 618, we have time. Size?
Wait, 618 what strike?
618 $35.
Okay, I just messed up again. User error. It was the 35s. There we go.
35s.
Yeah. Now this is the kind of flow that we're sitting around when we talk about size, time, and urgency. This is what we're looking for. This is
so
well,
we're not looking for those $30,000 trades, right? Sometimes we'll see that flow with the 30,000, the 80,000, the 17,000. And again, from the unusual scanner, that might work, but on a regular scanner, this is more what I'm looking for. Every time they hit this, 167,000, 260,000, 96, 72, 78, cool, not great, but it's also backed by 493,000. There's a 600, a 500, a 487, and then a $2 million sweep. Those are the type of dollar amounts that we're really looking for the right flow to follow.
And this is just like that ADI, with the exception that ADI was more money in a shorter time frame. This is that further out with size, time, and urgency. So the two, of everything we went through, Mike or me may play a GSKY, we may play a GSAT, or we may not. But ADI and SAVE, those are locks.
These are the trades you have to take. As far as using an unusual options scanner, this is why we have the scanner. Again, same thing. So I wasn't looking at SAVE that day. I had no idea I was going to trade SAVE. So these are things that the scanner is pointing us out what trades we should be taking. We're not searching the scanner looking for a trade. We're just letting the scanner tell us what to trade. And when you see something hit like this, 167,000, 260, 96, 72, 78, 493, 190, they are just putting money into this contract. It's got the time on it. It's out to June. So again, this is one of those things. It's not, you know, should I get this? Does it look right? Is this kind of the feel I'm looking for? The only question is, what account am I putting it in and how much am I buying of it? You know, you have a $2 million above the ask sweep. That's aggressive. So this is the type of stuff we're sitting around waiting for the scanner to tell us this is the trade we should be taking.
What's your next one there?
Next up, LVS.
I'm in this one as well.
LVS, we have the 618 $50 strike.
Now, and for the record, I did not take save. I know Mike did. I took UAL actually the next day. Save, I felt like I came in at the end of it, and I was hoping for a pullback. So when we say you have to take it, by the time I noticed it, it was too late for me. But for those that were watching it, yeah, they got a killer. Right. So which one on the LVS?
So I've got the 618 $60 calls.
618.
This was on 218 was the start date. So 218, you got the 618 60s. The thing about this one, right off the bat, you've got a $639,000 ask side sweep. Then there's a few blocks in there, but you've got 639,000, 163, 159, 163, 140, 115. So again, every time they're hitting this one, it's 100,000 plus at a time. There's a few smaller ones in there, the 77, the 83, but then you've got up top where it turns purple, you've got 338,000, 281,000. There's some 600,000s in there. There's a $440,000 above the ask sweep. There's a $2 million ask side block. So again, there's just a lot of money pouring into this one. When they first started trading it, the spot price was low 57s, low 58s. Friday after hours, it hit $60.45. So it's a June contract, plenty of time, a lot of money went into it, and it's already up, you know, $2 to $3 from the spot price when they started buying this one. So this one should work out pretty well.
And I want to go over something real quick because somebody will mention this if I don't. When these first started coming in at $5.40, the price didn't move. I wasn't intrigued by this trade at that point. All right. Then they started coming in again, you know, finally 510, 510, 510, 510, 515. I was not intrigued again. Still a lot of dollars. This had made the radar, but I don't like to buy anything going in the wrong direction. Now, the spot price was going down, so it kind of makes sense that the contracts are going down, or does it? That's another thing we could sit here and debate on, but that's starting to get into advanced flow that we're not going to get into at the moment. But later in the day, you know, and that morning I think we did have a dip, they started hitting these things again. Finally, they're moving to 555. The OI has been met now, 555, 560, 565, 575, all the way up to 585. So, yes, I did get in these contracts. It was more up in this range because I do not buy anything that's flat, stagnant, or going in the wrong direction. It's a rule I have. I stick to that rule, and it works. But, yes, I am in this trade, and that is another one, as Mike says, ADI, UAL, save, or what we had gone over UAL, but those are sides that you have to take. Size you have to take that trade.
Yeah, and this one, LVS, once it turned purple, you just see that contract price just being driven up. Every time they hit it, boom, boom, boom. The contract price, once it hit purple, it just didn't look back. So plenty of money going into it, plenty of time, and, you know, contract price growing up. Those are all things that we're looking for on that one. And next up is UAL.
Right. I shouldn't say you have to take it. I'm saying when me and Mike see it in our heads, we have to take it. All right. Yeah, UAL. This came in the day after.
UAL came in on the 19th.
Yep.
We have the 618 $50 calls for this one.
Yep. And there was two sets that came in that day. Now this one, this is all the 19th, and you can just see them driving it. Let's see here. Hold on, I've got something. Yeah, let me get rid of that 216 start date. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. first block, we're not paying attention to solo block at 505, and then just boom, shredding it. All triple digit, you know, by triple digit, 252,000, 222, 164, 220, 946, 267, 215. These aren't Packer trades. We're not looking at, look, just one of those adds up to what, you know, could be good flow into something else. Millions of dollars, then all of a sudden turns purple. And then it starts going again. So there was that dip Friday where everybody was, oh my God, the sky is falling. So yeah, these contracts, I don't remember if I was already in down here. They did start going backwards, but you know, as the market picked up back up that day, then these things started cranking back up again, and just all day size, 1.65 million above the ask. I mean, just size, 1.63 above the ask, size. I am in that trade.
Yeah, and again, it's out to June. So if it dips on a particular day, we're just not focused on it. We don't worry about that. As long as the big money is still in the trade, the reason we're trading with zero stress is because when we're in this trade, we have the backing of some fund that has, you know, whatever the dollar amount adds up to. You know, this one could be 7, 8, 9, 10 million, whatever it adds up to. We have zero stress because we have the backing of a large fund that just dumped $10 million into this position as well. So if it drops, I just don't even care until it gets to the point where the big money says, oh crap, we need to change this trade. I just don't worry about it in the slightest bit.
I'm in zero stress about this, whether it's a fund or a whale, whatever it is. It's somebody with more money than I've got that didn't mind putting it in there. For sure. What you got next, man?
I only have two more, and then there's a few I know that you took that I wasn't looking at. So MOS. Start date of 2/19.
This is my new baby.
Yeah, so 4/16, $35 calls is what we're looking for on this one. Or at least that's where the flow came in.
Right. This is one I took 28s because, again, to me, the 28s just weren't that much more expensive. I think I paid $1.40 something for at the money. You know what? Hold on. Let's see what I did take.
So the reason you do that, just for people that are wondering why you might change a strike price, these are $35 calls going for 70 cents. So if you're paying $1.40, you paid twice as much as this contract on the screen, but it's a $7 reduction in the strike price. So the thought process there is that if a $35 call becomes in the money by 4/16, a $28 call is going to be super in the money, and it's just going to pay off exponentially. So for doubling the strike or doubling the premium, you're basically saving $7 off of the strike price on those contracts.
Mine were actually 274. I just pulled it up. It was 274. So definitely a lot higher than these. But man, that spot price kept going. But those were up, you know, 30%, I think, at the close, roughly, or 25%. Not as fast as this that you got in and out of pretty quick, for sure.
And there's only one more from my side, which is BFT. Now this one,
boy, yeah,
we got a lot of people in the chat room asking about this one. These are the 10, 15, $35 calls. And on first glance, it looks like people are going to say, oh, wow, that's a lot of flow. We should jump into that. How come no one's mentioning BFT? And it is a lot of flow. If you looked at it at the time, it's one of those ones where it's filling up the screen. There's just boom, boom, boom. But the reason why this is an automatic ignore for me is if you start down at the very bottom, these are $2.70 contracts. They hit it again for 270. They hit it again for 270. They hit it again for 270. So every time they're hitting this contract, it's not moving the price of the contracts at all. And then you can say, well, the strike or the spot price isn't moving too well. We've seen a bunch of times where the spot price isn't moving a whole lot, but the contracts are being driven up. So when the demand for a contract increases a price, if the spot price is staying the same, that's a good sign. So on this one, even though it did fill the screen, they just kept hitting it over and over and over and over and over, but the contract price weren't moving at all. And to me, that's a red flag. Now this is, it's out to October. So can these contracts work? Absolutely, but it's just not a trade that I'm personally gonna take because two things. One, the contract price hasn't moved, and two, the spot price is 17 and it's a $35 call. So they're basically expecting this to double between now and October. Could it? Absolutely. I have no idea what BFT does, but that's the type of flow that it might at first glance look like it's something that's going to capture our attention. But for me and from Charlie's point of view, this is just an automatic ignore every single time based on, again, that contract price just isn't moving. The strike price and the spot price, I mean, they're thinking this thing's going to double, which again, it could, but as far as flow trading, that's just not the type of flow that we're going to follow.
And I'm going to take it a step further. Mike talks about the contract price can move on a flat spot. We've had spot prices go down and the contracts are still going up many times. We're talking about when we've bought pins and the spot price might fall 75 cents and those contracts are still going boom, boom, boom. And that's one of the things we like to point out in the room is, hey, listen, the spot price is falling, contracts are still going up. It doesn't get any stronger than that. So in this situation, yes, it did go from 270 to 320. Is that a 18% trade? Yes. If I seen this again tomorrow, would I take it? Absolutely not. If I add this whole thing up together, it adds up okay, I guess. But I was turned off right here already by the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a dozen trades for the spot prices. To me, and a lot of that is because it was just so far out of the money, just so far out of the money. But the contract, and listen, these will probably be $10 next week, and I hope they are for anybody that took it. But again, I stick to a particular pattern, and as long as I stick to that pattern, my win rate is insanely high. So is Mike's. This does not fit a MOS pattern. This doesn't fit the LVS, SAVE, UAL pattern. It just doesn't.
Yeah, and the thing to point out is that anything from the scanner can work. I mean, you can flip a coin and buy calls or puts on Tesla and you can make money. So not to say that this trade won't work out. It's just to have that very super high consistency where we're making money on almost every trade we take. It's just a very specific pattern that we're looking for, and this just isn't it. So the trade can work out, but as far as being that highly consistent, almost every trade is profitable flow trader, this just doesn't meet that pattern. So even if it works out, it's still a trade that I'm going to pass on because I'm very specific as far as what types of trades that I want to get into.
And people can say we're very lucky. I say we're very specific. So I'm going to pull up WDC. Now, this one wasn't actually where it started, wasn't actually this week. And I'm going to point out the 416.65s. And then I need to go back to UAL for 1 second. The 416.65s, I actually took that trade. I am out of it. And the reason I took that one for the 416s was not just the size, but they were hitting these 70s for next, the week, next week now. And by the way, it looks like those are going to work out nicely as well. But I'm like, you know what? That gave me some comfort. But then later on, they kept buying, this is on 211, so let's go to 215 when the market opened back. They started buying those July calls for the $70 calls. And look at this size out to July. Look at that, 1.26 million, 1.71. Now, these are different days, 1.37 million, just millions and millions and millions of dollars. You combine this was definitely a 20. Collectively, I think this did hit over 70 so far, but still plenty of time on these WDCs. I regret my decision to sell those, but it's one of those things I was up decently on it, swinging a bunch of positions. So, I took gains on that one, and I really do hope I get a chance to buy this one back. This one was just millions, like right there, right there, right there. And there was other strikes too, and other expirations. I want to say April's, that there was just millions of dollars in as well. Let's see here.
Yeah, there's a clear difference between this flow and if you pull up some random ticker that's just, it's all over the place, there's low dollar amounts. There's a really clear difference between this type of flow that we're looking for and some of the flow that a lot of people are taking and then saying, oh man, flow trading doesn't work. I took this from the flow and I lost money. there's a very clear difference between this type of flow and the stuff people are losing money on.
Yeah. This was the UAL I took. It was the same day that the other one came in, but I went with the 45s because it was in the money, and it was April instead of the Junes that were out of the money. I like in the money better, so I did follow this flow, and that was still, you know, 635, 735, 835, you know, $1.5 million coming in, mixed in with that other flow. So that's one that I took. One that got away from me that I wish I had back. PLTR. I'm regretting this.
Yes, a lot of people were asking about this one.
And I'm going to go show you the period in time where this happened. So I'm sitting in the room, and we already got an ADI 20 on Thursday. And I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to go ahead and put puts on here, which I normally don't do, but I'm going to show you a certain time frame. Now, I have to find where those big ones actually came through. Yeah. Let me just filter this from, let me just go with, I only want to see, yeah, here we go. I only want to see Mayflow. Mayflow. May 1st. So start date, hold on. Let's go with May 1st. End date May 20th. That should set these where I'm looking at that Mayflow. What does that do here? Oh, I've got to go to historical. Damn it. Okay, well that won't work. So that works live. So anyway, PLTR that day though. Let's just go ahead and take back off puts for a second. I'm delaying Mike's video, I know. Anyway, this came in back to back. Basically, this, you know what? It should be on my Twitter. And that would show the timestamps and everything. So let's just go there. Right, here we go. Okay. There we go. So PLTR, I'm sitting in the room, and I don't watch puts, and there's a reason I don't watch puts, and I wish somebody hadn't told me to go turn those puts on this day. So I see this sweep. I know the ER was the day before. I see this sweep for $5.31 million above the ask. That's all I need right there. I don't need anything else in life. I'm like, okay, room. And by the time I can even get this out, actually, yeah, the 227, it was a few minutes later. Yeah, and maybe I wasn't there when this one came out, but then they hit it again. But I'm like, okay, this is a hashtag. I'm going to hashtag 20 this, and somebody's like, hey, hold on. Go look at the puts. So I pulled up the put side, and same thing, May expiration, but it below the bid. So automatically, there's one of two things that happened there. Either they dumped that position or they wrote that position. Either way is still bullish. This should not have threw me off this trade. But people in the room, why I let that get to my head that day is beyond me. I don't even watch puts. Why? I don't want to see confusion like this, even though this doesn't confuse me. Either they got out of that trade because it was bullish, or they wrote it. And if you wrote puts, that's super hella bullish. So needless to say, I'm looking at this. In my opinion, they wrote this, and I'm going, okay, fuck, this is $15 million. What are we talking, But anyway, the next day, this thing almost did hit 30. I think it hit 29 and change, which would have put these almost, they were in the money, obviously, but I mean, almost at break even on that part as well. So I did get mine fucked on that one. Sorry for the language, Mike. Yeah, and look at that, 29.73 after hours.
Yeah, so it came out that Kathy Wood was buying that one. So there's also some dark pool trading going on with that one as well. So just a lot of activity in general on PLTR.
Yeah. Another one I wanted to throw out there was Visa. They started buying these 215s basically low of day that morning. I have no position in this yet. They were going in the right directions. Let me unfilter this and see if anything else came in. Yeah, it was, all this was, best I remember, one buyer. This may have been later in the day. But no, I think this was all, yeah. So it's 1309, 1330, 1333, 1340, 1350, 1380. Contract's going in the right direction. I have no position in this yet. This is out to September. That's going to give it at least 2 ERs of time. So I thought this one was on my watch list as well. No position yet, even though this is the kind of flow I'm looking for. And really, Mike, that's all I had. That's it.
That was all I had too. So again, the point of these is just to get that repetition of what we're looking for. Maybe we point out one or two that we don't like, that we get a lot of attention in the room on, just again, to point out the consistencies of what people think might be good, but isn't. And again, the disclaimer, anything from this scanner can make money. The reason we're super successful right now with it is because we've refined the way we use it to be very specific. So previously, I was trading a bunch of stuff from the scanner with very good results, but I was taking some losses. Recently, the losses are so minimal because, again, it's just a very specialized way of trading. It's not taking everything I like from the scanner. It's waiting for the scanner to tell me what to trade, very specific about what we're trading. And because we're so specific, because we're waiting and waiting and waiting and not just jumping into stuff, that's why we're doing the success that we have right now. It's just because we're very specific and we just won't take a bunch of trades that don't meet that criteria. So when we dial it in so much and have a very exact set of circumstances that we're looking for, if we stick to those circumstances, the success rate is just phenomenal. And again, I think that's why we're doing even better now than we ever have been with Flow before, is just we've refined this, and the idea, that mentality of #20, since we've got that method and mindset in our minds, the profitability on flow trading has just been tremendous over the last 6 months, even better than it has been before that. And again, it's just waiting for that very specific set of circumstances, and it's working.
Yep, I could not agree. We couldn't have said it better myself. Well, Mike, thanks for hanging out on a Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow.
Perfect. Thanks for joining me.